Hello everybody, my name's Nerdy Lover and welcome to a new series here on YouTube where basically I'm going to try and turn a £200 investment into approximately £3,000 by betting on sports, mostly football. I'd say my specialist areas are the English Premier League, Serie A and La Liga. I'll also be doing major European competitions as well, and I am interested in other sports, but I'm not quite as proficient with them yet. So in terms of documenting them on YouTube, that might be a bit of a mistake. So yeah, this series is going to run through the start of the Premier League season in August, all the way through to the end of the season. I'll also be looking at Serie A and La Liga, which kick off 1 week later. But today is a debut episode where I just try to kind of explain what we're trying to achieve here, as well as getting into a couple of season-long running bets. So I figured that would make a good first episode. So what are we looking at here is the spreadsheet in which I document my progress throughout the months. Each and every day I'll be putting down a profit or loss of what's been going on. It should be pretty easy to understand once we've done a couple of days worth, or, well, I suppose for YouTube sense, a couple of weeks worth of videos. Each individual month, let's just grab October for example. So I'll be documenting the day the fixture occurs on, the actual bet I want to do, recording the odds, stake, profit or loss, and then depending if the bet is 1, I'll put in 1 to code a win, or a 0 if it's lost. And then at the end of each month, if I scroll a little bit further, end of each month we get the average odds, the average stake, average profit, and the total profit, as well as a win percentage for the month. That is all translated into this table here, which looks more confusing and technical than it actually is. It's very, very simple. Actually, let me pause for a second and grab this year's spreadsheet. Okay, so this is what we're going for. This is what I've used for the last couple of years. Last year my target was £1,500, so we managed to secure that. Our total profit was £3,048.83. So that's why I was thinking 3,000 wouldn't be a overly optimistic goal to reach this time round. So yeah, as we can see, throughout the month of August, we averaged slightly odds on, made about £3.15 profit per bet, 69% win rate, a monthly profit of £185. The units that we're operating on are £20 as a full stake, £10 as a half stake, and I might do the odds silly accumulator or something for £1 or £5 here and there, but I feel like I will be pretty transparent with what's going on and when. I don't think you need to be some sort of betting expert. I'm definitely not, to kind of understand what I'm going for here. So yeah, and it turns out we've made £3,050 last year. I'll switch back to the main spreadsheet for this series, but just so we can see the progress, this is what I'm going for on the other spreadsheet and for the YouTube series. So the red line represents our target. So I had on my target set at minus 1,500, and then when we break through this line, it shows that we've met our goal. Obviously, you can just move it up the y-axis a little bit to have it from a 0 to 1,500, but it was kind of like an indefinite end point, and it's a lot easier to see when this x-axis is at 0 that you've met your target than if it was like further up the page. That's just my personal preference, and I don't know how other people keep track of things, but I prefer to work negatively and then go up. And then the blue line is what I updated every day. As you can see, we had a little bit of a crash here in... Oh no, so yeah, this little crash represents me taking £1,000 out for Christmas time, because that was about 150 days after August. So as you can see, we have a generally quite positive trend, and we finished up 1,300 ahead of target, but of course we started 1,500 below. So Yeah, not too bad at all. So that's kind of what we're going for with this series. Let me get rid of last year's spreadsheet and then go to this year's spreadsheet. So right now, because Premier League hasn't actually started yet, our little progress bar is nothing. Oh, I may need to play around with the axes a little bit, because as you can see, it's 2,000 there. I will have to fiddle with this, but basically I want to have it 0, 3,000 being the x-axis. And then as we update on our net page, our daily winnings or losses, it should help create an overall flow to our progress chart. So yeah, I think that about explains what's going on. There's nothing that's super clear through either that little rambling bit or any of the bets I'm about to show. Drop a comment. I'm going to do like a little time jump, and we'll get onto some season-long bets. Kicking off the first of 5 season-long bets, let's talk Premier League relegation. My candidate to be relegated from the Premier League this season would be Nottingham Forest. Why exactly? Let's get into it. So they have before signing Jesse Lingard, had the smallest squad salary overall, and when we stack since the 2017-18 season, when we stack all of the 3 lowest teams salary-wise into a table together, we can see that most of them get relegated. There's the odd ones that kind of somehow do all right or break into the top half, but I can try to justify why that's not the case. So the average amount of points tally of teams that are in the bottom 3 salary-wise is 35.34. Now, in order to stay up over the course of those seasons that we've highlighted, a relegation candidate team needs to score at least 37 points. A lot of people say that 40 is like your golden safe zone. But yeah, so they're a point and a bit behind. When we highlight these 3 particular seasons, we could probably justify removing them as anomalous data. So with Burnley, we have expert man management from Sean Dyche and a solid backline, well organised, and not much turnover from the previous season, which helped them climb the table. When we look at Sheffield United as well, we have the Chris Wilder, who's also quite a solid manager, but he had this almost a revolution at the back with these wide centre-backs being played in the Premier League for the first time. Took a lot of teams by surprise, and they managed to pick up quite a lot of points where perhaps you'd think they wouldn't. And they managed to ascend the table and avoid the drop as well. Leeds under Bielsa as well, he had this basically man-marking, man-pressing strategy which came through really quite well. And obviously they found out the season after and got relegated. But if we remove these 3, the average points accrued by the other teams in the table is 31, which is 6 points off the pace to stay up. I do believe that Nottingham Forest don't have a particular way of playing. They don't have a particularly strong manager, and I'm afraid I'm not too sure that they're going to be able to stay up this season. Another thing we look for in relegation candidates is turnover. With 15 arrivals and 8 departures to the first team's squad, that does put Nottingham Forest at risk. And also another thing we look at for relegation candidate teams is any previous Premier League experience. So starting in goal, they do have Dean Henderson on loan from Manchester United. He's solid, if not spectacular. And unfortunately, in a system, in a lineup of players in which he's left a little bit isolated or exposed, like he was in Sheffield United, he did end up getting relegated with them. Obviously, returned to Manchester United, but I think something very similar could happen here at Notts Forest. Moving up through the squad, we've got Steve Cook, ageing 31-year-old centre-back, decent in the air, but he's a little bit short in stature, and I just think that, as with the last season in Bournemouth, he's not going to be quite up to snuff to keep enough clean sheets in order to secure Nottingham Forest's place in the league. Neko Williams, solid young player, largely unproven though, solid for Wales. Never really broke into Liverpool team, so he's a bit of an unknown quantity, but I don't think that's an especially positive thing for Nottingham Forest. Midfield is fairly weak. Colback and Arta are okay, if unspectacular in the Championship, but definitely will struggle in the Premier League. And the man they're going to be putting all their faith in, Jesse Lingard, I don't think he has enough goals or assists to be able to keep this team up. So for me, Nottingham Forest to go down is the solution. Jumping across to Betfair now, which is the sportsbook that we will be using for the series. You can currently get Nottingham Forest at 1.36, a £20 stake returns £27 profit. We jumped on a little bit earlier before they signed Jesse Lingard, but the odds have got even better if you're interested. With our second of the 5 bets, which will run throughout the season, we're going to stick in the Premier League, but look at the other end of the table. I think Manchester City will retain the title this year. Manchester City and Guardiola have swapped out Raheem Sterling for Erling Holland. When we do a little analysis of what Sterling brings from a goal factor, when we look at his goals per 90 minutes, he scores 0.56 goals. We can factor in the 6 Premier League assists he got to have a figure for his goals created per 90 minutes. That goes up to 0.8. However, Haaland does trump that in every facet. When we go over to Erling Holland, and obviously we're comparing the Bundesliga and the Premier League, so it's not always directly comparable. However, both of these leagues are in the top 5 in Europe, which I think makes quite an apt comparison. Obviously, the Premier League is a little bit harder than the Bundesliga, but there's not too much in it. If we look at Erling Haaland's goals per 90 minutes, he scores 1.03 goals, which basically means he scores a goal every single game. When we factor in his 8 Bundesliga assists, this number goes up to goals created per 90 of 1.14, which means in a Guardiola system, he's going to be scoring, he's going to be assisting, and his general level of play will be more impactful than Raheem Sterling. The difference between these two goals created per 90 is 0.34. If we do some, quite frankly, bullshit mathematics, extrapolate this across a 38-game season, at a maximum, we could see Manchester City scoring an extra 12.92 goals throughout the season, compared to with having Sterling in the lineup and then replace him with Haaland. Obviously, it's not just about how Manchester City are improving, it's about how Liverpool may potentially be struggling or getting a little bit worse or even stagnating. So first, let's have a look at Sadio Mane, who went to Bayern Munich. His goals per 90 in the Premier League was 0.51. Factoring in his 4 assists, and he has a goals created per 90 number of 0.64. The replacement for him was Darwin Nunez. Some would say it's Diaz based on position, but I'm talking about how the squad's got a little bit weaker for him going and a little bit stronger for Darwin coming in. So if we look at the Portuguese Premier Division, Darwin Nunez has a goals per 90 of 1.15, which is even better than Erling Haaland. Factor in his 4 assists, and his goals created per 90 rises to 1.33. But whereas I was happy to compare the Bundesliga to the Premier League for the Sterling Haaland substitution, I do not think it is apt at all to compare the Portuguese Premier League to the English Premier League. However, both Mane and Darwin had similar numbers and similar minutes played in the Champions League this season. So if we take the Champions League, there's basically very little difference between the two. So I'm saying that for losing Mane and bringing in Darwin, Liverpool haven't really gotten any better. I could be way off with that, and Darwin could hit the ground running, but also there's the thing you have to factor in with Darwin is he going to hit the ground running? Is he going to be a Cristiano Ronaldo? Is he going to be Bruno Fernandes when he came across from Sporting? Or is he going to be like the vast majority of Portuguese league players that come over to English football? They're just a little bit off the pace. And when we're talking about a title race against Manchester City, you need to hit the ground running. And I'm not sure that's going to be the case with Darwin. Happy to eat my words, but we'll just see. We've also got an ageing squad with Mohamed Salah's powers starting to wane a little bit. Jordan Henderson, who's good for shuttling around the midfield. He's obviously going to be a year older. James Milner, a year older. I think it's just a straight up Manchester City to win the title. And if we jump across to Betfair, we can see that on the market currently, you can get Manchester City at a exchange rate of 1.7, £20 to win 14. So yeah, Man City to win the title. Bet number 3 takes us out of England and across to Spain. We're looking at Real Madrid to win the title. Real Madrid, under the stewardship of Carlo Ancelotti, secured La Liga last season, winning over Barcelona by 13 points. Since then, they have added both Antonio Rudiger from Chelsea and Tchouaméni from Monaco. Both solid players, which will add to the squad's strength in depth as well defensively. They've also offloaded 2 problematic players. Gareth Bale, obviously the ongoing saga with him has been basically when he signed an extension, they paid him way too much money. They wanted to get rid of him, but of course he wanted to get paid, and that sort of created a atmosphere around the club. So they've offloaded him to LAFC. Also, they've offloaded, I don't think it's going too far to say, club legend Marcelo. Getting up into the mid-30s now at the left-back position, you need a lot of stamina and energy. Marcelo is lacking, so they have declined to extend his contract. The main argument for this, the main argument for Real Madrid to retain the title, which is a difficult feat anyway, is that they've had a very small turnover of players. They've been there, they've done it. The only real aging concern is Karim Benzema. But I don't think we're going to get a drop-off because the system is built around him scoring goals, and you can just continue on from last season. I'd say the main contender, and unfortunately, like a lot of people, I'm going to be ignoring Atleti here because I just don't think they're good enough. The main contender, I would say, for Real Madrid would be FC Barcelona. They also signed a centre-back from Chelsea in Andreas Christensen. He wasn't good enough to get into the Chelsea lineup, so I'm not sure why he'd be good enough to get into the Barca lineup. He's good with the ball at his feet, which I think is what Xavi's after. However, is he actually a good defender? I was unconvinced from his time at Chelsea. Maybe a fresh start will be good for him, but maybe not. He's got to get settled in. He's got to get used to Spain, which could take a little while. It could take a good half a season. And as with the Premier League title race, you need to hit the ground running in Spain as well. Otherwise, your rivals will tear away from you. A solid addition to the midfield was Kessié. Won Serie A with AC Milan last year. Kessié will bring energy to the midfield, which is needed at Barcelona. He might be a long-term replacement for someone like Sergio Busquets. He did penetrate from deeper in the field, but I don't know. I think he's not. He's like the step below top class, and right now I don't think he'd get into Madrid's lineup. So to challenge Madrid for the title, it's a difficult thing for me to convince myself of. Rafinha from Leeds is a crazy transfer. Massive overpay. Rafinha was the star man in a struggling Leeds side, but I just don't see it. I just don't see why they thought signing Rafinha would be a good move. He's not shown any star world-class quality that Barcelona would want or need at this stage in their rebuilding phase. I'm just a bit flabbergasted as to why he was signed, to be honest. They've got talent out wide in Ansu Fati. You can push Depay out to the wing. Mingueza you can push up from fullback. I just don't see where Rafinha's going to fit in, and if he is wedged into the squad, is it going to affect the shape? Is it going to affect the development of some of the younger Barcelona players? It just confuses me. Lewandowski is also a solid signing, I think. My main concern with Lewandowski is that he's a similar age to Benzema. He might be a year older, but whereas Benzema has bedded himself in Spain, he has a system and a squad that normally ends up with him being the final product. Lewan has just left that in Bayern Munich. Is there going to be enough time to get him to gel with the new people, to get him to finish? You know, I saw an interview where Thomas Müller was talking about he just knows where Lewan's going to be. But obviously, that sort of telepathic connection is not going to be the same with these new players at Barcelona. It just seems like a drop-off for me. I know Lewan wanted to play in Spain, and that's the main thing that's been sort of pushing this move through. But, yeah, he's going to take time to adjust. I don't think he's going to hit the ground running. The rest of the squad is a bit of a shambles. Have they improved from last year? Potentially marginally. Is it a 13-point improvement to win the title from Madrid? No, I don't think so. So, Real Madrid to win the title. If we just take a quick look at Betfair, Real Madrid are a healthy 2.3, so £20 would return £23. And if they jump out to a lead, you could probably cover it up throughout the season. So yeah, Real Madrid to win the title, 6-4. Jumping across from Spain to Italy now, we're going to back Inter to win the Serie A. Last season was not great for Inter as they saw their crosstown rivals AC Milan lift the silverware. However, I think they're going to be back stronger than ever. One main reason for that is Romelu Lukaku. He's back in the Nerazzurri colours, and I mean, he's just a different beast playing in Serie A compared to the Premier League. I mean, if we have a look at his 47 goals in 72 games over the 2 seasons he's played at Inter Milan, that's an average of 0.66 goals per game, or 0.72 goals per 90. Extrapolate that across the season, he's on for 20 plus. That's just been added to Inter Milan without much of an issue, really. Of course, it's a loan from Chelsea, but that doesn't really matter because he can still do the job in Serie A for this season, which is the remit of the bet. The other addition, which could be a sneaky good one, is Onana will be starting probably over Handanovic in goal for Inter Milan. And as has been a bit of a theme with this video, there's been not too much turnover in Inter Milan. However, when we look at their rivals, and their rivals I'm defining as AC Milan and Juventus, we can have a look on Transfermarkt, and Milan have added Divock Origi into their front line, but they did lose Kessié to Barcelona. They lost a solid centre-back, Andrea Romagnoli, to Lazio, so far without a replacement. And the decent strike force of Giroud and Zlatan has, well, will they do it again? They're an extra year older, their combined age is over 75, I believe, now. And I just don't think they can keep it up for a second 38-game season. Jumping across to Juventus now, the whole Pogba thing has been all over social media. However, unfortunately for him, Paul Pogba, in the last couple of days, has ruptured his ACL and will be out probably up until Christmas. He will slowly be introduced back into the side after Christmas, but that creative presence is just not going to be there for Inter. Just not going to be there for Juventus. Di Maria is a shrewd signing, but will he have an impact that can make up a 14-point deficit over the title winners last time? Probably not. The main thing to look at for Juventus is really quite a shocking weakening of their side. De Ligt has gone to Bayern Munich, and they've brought in the less renowned Bremer from crosstown rivals Torino. Obviously, the main figurehead in terms of leaving the club has been Dybala. He's gone to Roma. Memi Demirel is also a very solid defender, off to Atalanta. So when you consider the addition of Lukaku and what I'm projecting to be the weakening of the other two top contenders in AC Milan and Juventus, I think it makes a pretty solid case for Inter Milan taking the title this year. So let's jump across to Betfair. Okie dokie. So, got decent odds on this one. It's currently at 2.86. We got it at 2.82, but that does mean £20 stake returns 36.40. Bringing up the rear, the fifth of our 5 pre-season bets to this point in the season. We may jump back in for another season-long bet when the markets open and the leagues begin. Look to take advantage of some positions, some maybe teams that start slow or whatever. But as of this video, the last team we're looking at is Norwich in the English Championship. This is a lot less of a technical analysis and more of a gut sort of analysis, but having a look at the teams that were promoted from League One and the teams that came down from the Premiership, there's no clear, strong side emerging. You know, I think the bookies fancy Watford right now, but I don't like them. They're always a bit of a basket case of a team. I think Norwich are a really good shout for potentially promotion. As an Ipswich Town fan, that is a bit of a weird thing for me to say, but I think being conservative and looking for some easy money, Norwich top 6 looks pretty good. That's all I have to say on the matter. There's not too much technical analysis to be done there. All of the statistics of Norwich in the Premier League can't translate into the Championship. Sticking with today's theme, very little turnover from Norwich. It's largely the same team that went up, and the team that can compete in what I would say is quite a diluted pool of talent in the Championship. So yeah, Norwich City to stay up. Norwich City to finish top 6 at 1-2. So that brings us nicely towards the end of the video. Just going to run through the 5 bets we're going to do in the order in which they appeared in the video. Nottingham Forest to get relegated, we got odds of 1.97, but just for math's sake, it's easier to drop the first one. So 0.97, £20 stake should return £19.54. Manchester City to lift the Premier League at odds of 0.72, £20 stake to return £14.40. That's a bit more of a safer one, but you've got to have your safe bets, you've got to have your risky ones as well. One that's a little more risky is Real Madrid to lift La Liga at odds of 1.1, a £20 stakes returns £22 of profit. The riskiest one we have so far, which and let me just take you through my thinking for this. I think if Inter get off to a good start, their odds will drop, and then we can cover off our liability. So right now we're risking £20 to win 36.40. I will probably flatten that at one point, but obviously I'll be pretty transparent with folks when I do it. And bringing up the rear, the final team is Norwich to finish top 6, odds of 1.55 or 0.55 for the spreadsheet, £20 stake to return £11.60. As I said a little while ago, there may be events where a team is looking pretty dire. They might be flirting with relegation in one of these leagues, and we back them to stay up. I know we did that last year with Everton to great effect. So this, by all means, doesn't mean this is the end of our season-long category on our spreadsheet here. We'll probably get down to maybe like 10, 15 season-long bets that'll be running. They've not released the top goal scorer and player markets yet, so we might have a little flutter on Erling Holland to finish top goal scorer for Manchester City, or maybe Romelu Lukaku for Inter Milan. But yeah, so what we're going to do is, to the best of my ability, every Wednesday or Thursday I'll pop out a video detailing the games of the Premiership, Serie A and La Liga. I'll run through all of the card and have a look at what bets I'm fancying. I will record the bets that I actually care about and the money I will be risking, but also probably throw out some suggestions as what folks can do on the games I'm not betting on. So I think that about brings us to the end of the video. So thanks very much for watching. If you stayed to the end, drop a like. My name's been Nerdy Lover, and as always, have a good day.